Hello everyone, happy Saturday. This is the first day of the final book support group 48 Hour Readathon hosted by Steph Loves. Now it is already 2:15. I have not done any reading yet, and I do have a fairly ambitious TBR for this readathon that I am hoping to get finished, but I just did not want to get going today. So I indulged. I laid around, I did literally nothing, but now we're here, so it's time to start reading. So let me go ahead first of all and let you know what I'm in the middle of. This is not part of the readathon, but I would like to get this book done this weekend because I have something else that I want to start reading next week. So I am working on The Love Hypothesis by Hazelwood. I am like halfway through. I am on chapter 12, which is page 189. I am enjoying this so far, and I would really like to crank out the last half of this book to get this finished. This is on my January TBR, which I'll link up above if you're curious. And as I said, I am really enjoying this. So I just need to finish it. The problem was that I didn't start this until January 2nd, and then I did not read it in large chunks. I did 50 pages on that day, 50 pages on the 3rd, and then I went back to work on the 4th. So not a lot of reading has gotten done on this because I have been very tired coming home from work. It is very hard to get back on someone else's schedule when you had 2 weeks of not having any schedule. So I am going to hopefully finish this, and if I do, I will just give you brief thoughts on that one because it's not actually part of the readathon. And then here are the books that I would like to read for the readathon. So they are all either very short or middle grade. So the first one that I want to read in its entirety is the final 39 Clues book. This is book number 10. It's called Into the Gauntlet. This one's written by Margaret, Peterson, Haddix. I should not have any trouble getting through this because it's got pretty good size font. It's not very long. It has 327 pages, but they're short pages. So I definitely feel like I can get through this in a timely fashion. The next one I have is Memento, which is the little novella that's part of the Illuminate Files trilogy. And obviously it's a novella, so this isn't going to take me very much time at all. And the final book is a graphic novel, and that is Aries, what is this? Bringer of War. This is part of George O'Connor's Olympian series. He has 12 of them altogether. This is book number 7, and obviously it's a middle grade graphic novel, so I can definitely get through that pretty timely as well. So those are the 3 books for the actual final book support group readathon, and then I am going to also be squeezing in The Love Hypothesis, hopefully, because I would really like to finish that one. And that's what we're going to get up to. So I am going to actually start with 39 Clues. I'm hoping that I can actually finish this today. We will see. I have some videos to edit as well. Steph was doing sprints today. They started at 10 o'clock my time. I can't really remember, but I was not getting on those. I'm just now finally awake and willing to go do things. So we're gonna start with this. I'll see if her sprints are still on. If so, I'll kind of catch the last little bit of it. But first I need to edit a video before I get started reading. So I will come back and chat with you when I'm about halfway through this one, which would be, it looks like chapter 15. The chapters are not very long. If you are not familiar with the 39 Clues, it follows the Cahill family. You're following 2 kids, Amie and Dan. And they have been racing around the world to track down these clues to this big treasure, which I think is more information. I can't really remember, but they're going up against other members of their family to do it. And they're also up against this rival family. It's been a hot minute since I've read this series, so I'm hoping that I won't be too terribly confused to start, but that's basically the gist. Each one of the books in this series is written by a different author. So as I said, this one is written by Margaret Peterson Haddix. The first book was written by Rick Riordan. They came, when they first were released, they came with collector's cards and stuff like that. So I'll just show you on the back. There's all the books and the cards and things like that. I had to borrow this one from the library because I don't know where book 10 went. I know I have it, but I don't know where it is. So I went ahead and borrowed this one, and we're gonna just hope that it's a very quick read. I remember the other ones being very fast, so as I said, I'm pretty sure I can finish this one today. So that will be the goal, and then I can focus on these two tomorrow as well as this one. So anyway, enough chatting. Let's go edit that video and then do some reading. I will come back, as I said, and talk to you about my thoughts when I'm at about the halfway point. Hello everyone, it's like 9:30. I have done a little bit of reading, so I'm currently on page 162 of Into the Gauntlet, which is chapter 17. It's exactly 50% according to Goodreads. So I found the audio of this on Scribd, so I was able to like do some multitasking, which is nice. So I will continue reading this into tomorrow. I think what I'm gonna do before I go to bed though is read Memento, because I feel like this is gonna be pretty quick and easy. It's told in the same style as Illuminae, so it's got a lot of like emails and then things, pages, you know, that look like this. So it's mixed media, exactly like the book. So I'm pretty sure I can get through this in just a handful of minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and read this one before I go to bed and cross this one off. Tomorrow on the agenda is grocery shopping, and that's the only place I need to go. So I'm planning on spending the remainder of the day reading, because I have quite a bit of it that I need to do, because instead of doing a lot of reading today, I was playing Disney's Dreamlight Valley, which I have on my Switch. So that kind of took up most of my afternoon, but it's still relaxing, so in my opinion, still time well spent. Just didn't get as much reading done as I was hoping. So I'm gonna go ahead and read this one, and I'm not quite sure if this is set before the books or like in the middle of the books, after the books. I don't know. I'll come back and like talk about it after I finish it. But now let me talk about this one. So I am halfway through. I don't remember exactly all of the details from the previous 9 books, because I feel like I read this probably 10 years ago and I just don't remember everything. But this has done a very good job of like recapping who the characters are, what's happened, like some of the experiences that Amie and Dan have had with the various other people. And I do remember enough that I'm not lost. So no big deal. This one is like, again, on a totally separate like clue hunt. So they all like build on each other, and they are looking for another clue in this book. So you don't necessarily have to remember like a ton about the previous books, which is good, because otherwise I would be very lost. But I am kind of curious where this one is going. There is technically an 11th book in this series, but that book is a setup for the sequel series, which I do not have any interest in reading. So I'm not counting that in my like series finale. I'm considering this the finale, because this was originally supposed to be the last book, and then they decided to do like several spin-off series, which again, I don't want to read. So this will be the final book in this series that I am going to read. I've got half of it left. I think the audiobook says I have like a little over an hour left, so I'm definitely going to finish that tomorrow. And then I will also take care of the graphic novel Aries, Bringer of War, and also hopefully the Love Hypothesis, because I still really want to get that one done this weekend, because I have another vlog that I'm starting filming on Monday, and it's got a whole different list of books to read. So that's where we are. I am going to go ahead, get reading on this one, and let you know what I think. I'm curious to see where this falls in the grand scheme of things. So let's get reading. I'm excited to dive back into this world, because I really, really love the Illuminae files. I gave all 3 books 5 stars. Hello everyone, happy Sunday. I have a reading update. So I did read Memento last night, and y'all, I would really recommend you pick this up if you have read the Illuminae files. This is mostly about Aiden. So if you are not familiar with the Illuminae files, Aiden is the AI unit on board one of the ships in that series, and this takes place before Aiden is damaged, and then it concludes after Aiden's been damaged in the battle. So this was full of like this creepy sense of foreboding. Like, I know that in the Illuminae files, they basically believed that the path Aiden took was a result of the damage it sustained. But there are some creepy things about Aiden, like from the get-go, that probably should have raised some red flags. This was so good. Such a good time to like revisit the world of the Illuminae files. And I have always had a soft spot for Aiden, even though it is an AI system and not a real person. And this just brought those feelings back like times 1,000. So this was a really, really good read. I gave this 5 stars. It's very short, 82 pages, mixed media, and definitely would recommend you find this if you have read the Illuminae files. I definitely would read it after though. Don't read it before, read it after. But wow. Yes, very like impactful for such a tiny little book. I also finished listening to Into the Gauntlet, the final 39 Clues book. So I have some thoughts about that I will talk about in just a minute, but I have to change my battery first. So hold that thought. Okay, back. So I did finish this. I finished listening to this on audio as I got ready this morning and I went grocery shopping. I only had like an hour and 20 minutes left. So I finished listening to it. So this one's done. Hooray. This is book number 4 of 2023. And I think I'm ultimately going to give this one 4 stars. There were things about this that I liked and things about this that I didn't like. So I do feel like it was a decent series finale for the most part, but in the end of this, you realize that this whole series was a setup for like a sequel series, which is not my favorite thing. I think I already mentioned I'm not going to be continuing with any of the sequel series, so I am stopping at this book. I don't care enough to continue it, especially because the whole reason I started reading this in the first place was because Rick Riordan wrote the first book, and he has not written any of the subsequent books or the spin-off sequel series books. So I'm not really interested in continuing. I don't care enough about the whole overarching story to continue reading. There's a lot of them. There's like 3 different spin-off series, and I just do not want to read those. So I'm stopping with this one. This completes the original 39 Clues series. There's technically a book 11, but that is again the setup for the sequel series, and I'm not reading that. So I'm gonna give this 4 stars. I did feel like overall I liked where the characters all went. I liked kind of just the way the story worked, came together, the personal journeys that each of the different branches of the family went through. We're obviously focusing mostly on Amie and Dan, but you get a lot of point of views from the other characters as well. And I felt like that all ended in like a good spot, and I do not need to read any more about it. So I'm giving it 4 stars. It was fine. It was a quick read as I had expected. So this one's done, which means the only other book from my TBR for this readathon that I have left is this graphic novel. So I am going to go ahead and crank this one out. This is going to be a super fast read. I have enjoyed all of the previous books in this series. So I have read the graphic novels about Zeus, Athena, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, and Aphrodite at this point. So I'll just show you here's where they are. So obviously I have read the first 6. This is book 7. I am going to hopefully complete this series this year. This would be a very easy one to knock out. And these would be good books for like every subsequent final book support group readathon, because they're going to be really quick. So I will be knocking this out, and then I will have completed the TBR for the final book support group 48-hour round. The only other book that I am going to work on today, again, not part of a series, is The Love Hypothesis. I did listen to 2 more chapters of this because after I finished this one, I went right into the audio of this one. I am going to continue listening to the audio for a little bit longer because I have some laundry to put away, so I can listen to the audio of this while I do that. So after I put the laundry away, we'll read this. I'll come back and chat with you about this, and then we'll just hang out for the rest of the day, and hopefully I will have a little update about my overall feelings about this. I am still really enjoying this. I feel like we're finally getting to like the climax of the story, perhaps. So yeah, hopefully this will be a 5-star for me, just like it appears it has been for like everyone else. Hello everyone, it is 8:14. I have a reading update. So I did finish Aries, Bringer of War. This was an interesting one. Now, it's been a while since I've read the previous books in this series, so I don't remember exactly how the other stories were told, but this one was told via the Trojan War. So it was basically this author's take on the Iliad, and basically instead of focusing mostly on what happens like on the field of battle, obviously because this is a book about the Olympians, it is talking about like what's going on between the gods and goddesses. So this focuses a lot on like Aries' personality, like his type of war, because Athena is also considered like a goddess of war, but he's like the frenzy and the insanity of war basically, and she's like the strategy of war. And it looks at how the two of them don't really get along, and it kind of delves into Aries' relationship with his father Zeus and some of the other things like that. So I found that really interesting. Also, all of the art, a lot of the art was done in like styles of using like a lot of red and yellow and brown, which makes sense because this is Aries, and that color scheme like brings to mind bloodshed, which of course, if you're talking about war, makes a lot of sense. So I appreciated like kind of just the thought process behind the coloring of his story, and I really enjoyed this one. So I gave it 4 stars. I'm going to read Apollo next because I have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 left. When this one was published, the other ones had not been written yet, but it is a complete series of 12 books. So I enjoyed this. 4 stars. I would recommend this series. It is a teen YA graphic novel series, but it's very interesting takes on like Greek mythology. So enjoyed that one. And then, even though this is not a final book support group book, I've mentioned that many times, I did finish The Love Hypothesis. And I can understand why so many people absolutely love this. I am also giving this 5 stars. There was a portion towards the end that made me cry. And anytime a book can like elicit like big emotional responses, that's typically a 5-star positive emotional responses. So this one made me laugh, made me smile, made me cry. There is one little quibble that I have about this book, and that is the sex scene, which happens towards the end of this book. So there's a lot of like slow burn, I guess, for lack of a better term, for the majority of this book. But there is a sex scene. Obviously, it's a romance book towards the end, and they don't use a condom. And it made me laugh when I read it because not using condoms is like a big thing in fan fiction. And if you're not aware, this was originally written as a fan fiction story. So that didn't really surprise me that she did that in here. I have also heard that she does it in Love on the Brain. And Allie, this is just a message. The sex scenes can still be sexy and hot even with a condom. I'm just throwing that out there. There is like a cursory chat of like him saying he didn't have anything, her saying that don't worry, I'm on the pill and I'm clean. But like, still, you know, she doesn't really know his history, even though like the reader is led to believe that he's not been with anyone for a while. Still, you know, safe sex, y'all. It still would have been perfectly smutty and good with a condom. So just throwing that out there. So I did have a little bit of a quibble with that. I also felt like one of the like plot points, one of like a big plot point that plays a part in like the last quarter of the book kind of came out of left field and probably could have been fleshed out a little bit more. But I'm still giving it 5 stars because of the emotional response that it elicited. I can't hold this too close to my face because it turns the screen yellow. There's something about this shade of blue that does not play well with my skin tone. That's always been the case. So yes, this book, I did enjoy it. I'm giving it 5 stars. I am looking forward to reading Love on the Brain because I'm curious to see how they will compare, and I have already pre-ordered Love Theoretically, so hopefully I will like that one as well. But 5 stars for this one, 4 for the graphic novel, and then we'll just recap again. 5 for Memento, 4 for Into the Gauntlet. So this officially means that I have read 6 books already this year, y'all, and it is only January 8th. So I'm feeling very accomplished. It helps that I had some very, very fast reads. But yes, this was a book on my 23 and 2023. So 1 down, 22 to go. But yeah, that is a pretty good weekend of reading, if you ask me. So very, very pleased with that. I will go ahead and do like a tiny little book haul. I got my book of the month earlier this week and I haven't shared it in a vlog, so I'm going to do that here. I did pick up Queen of Thieves by Beezy Marsh. This is a historical fiction book about like some female gangs of thieves in London in 1946, and I am very intrigued. I love historical fiction. It's funny because most of my book of the month picks have been the historical fiction like choice, with just a couple of exceptions because that's kind of what I gravitate towards. And I have a rule to not purchase thrillers because I will never reread them, and I at least want to pick up a book that has a chance of being reread. So this is the one that I went with. When will I get to this? Absolutely no idea, but that is the one that I went with for January. So that's where we are. I don't think I have anything else to share with you. It's 8:20, so I am going to go play a little bit of my Disney Dreamlight Valley game on my Switch to kind of wind down. I am going to be starting another series book. This is the 13th Nancy Drew book, so this is The Mystery of the Ivory Charm. So this is kind of going to be my nighttime / lunchtime reading this week, so I can finish this one on top of filming a themed vlog, which will be coming up later this month. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say, y'all. This has not been a too terribly interesting, exciting video because this was all about me lounging around the house. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. And I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.